Waiting on Instagram. Because that's what we do. We got to wait on Instagram.
Couldn't be seamless, but oh well.
One of these days, I guess.
One day.
All right. I think we're live on both. Shall we get this started? Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Rick.
I'm Dan.
I'm George.
I'm Jake.
And we are Queer Magnolias,
The podcast.
In each episode,
We're going to talk about everything from growing up queer in the South
To the issues affecting our community today.
with a little bit of fabulous sprinkled in along the way,
Join us for an all-you-can-eat buffet of queer joy,
mixed in with the occasional bitch fest.
But always served with the spiciest tea. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I hope everybody else is good. Send us some comments. George isn't going to be here tonight. Pride is killing him slowly.
Oh, our poor darling. She is just swamped. Every weekend there's been some pride. June is just the longest month of the year for him. So
And I learned the other day Santa Monica has a Pride the last weekend in June. I didn't even know Santa Monica was proud. I guess they are.
I know. And I saw an email come across today for the San Fernando Valley has a pride as well.
Yeah,
So
I
I think they
think
started that. Did they start it a couple years ago? I feel like
They
it's
did,
come and
yeah.
gone and come and gone. So
Yeah, they started a few years ago. So, and I did want to share that I think Rick and I broke Pride last week. So I spent the night behind the orange curtain on Sunday. I was down in Orange County. And when I was coming back on Monday, the car just naturally drifted into the Citadel outlets. I don't know how that happened.
I mean, you know,
Well, and I went into Coach and there was not one Pride item, not one. Anywhere in the
that's
entire
because they're
store.
all in my closet.
Oh, could be. But when I came out of Coach, I noticed in all of the other ones like Hugo Boss and Armani, nobody had Pride flags or banners in the windows this year at the outlets. At that one anyway. And I was really quite surprised because last year we were inundated with it. So I don't know, maybe we broke it or something else happened and they pulled back this year.
Well, I feel like a lot of people were pulling back on Pride just because of the anti-LGBTQ sentiment that seems to be running rampant again. So
Sadly.
it looks like everyone's joined us on Instagram. I don't know if you can see those on your side, Danny, but Instagram is full. So Aaron says he's leaving though because George is not here. So whatever. So
Aaron, we know where you live. At least we have the address. And Google Maps will get us there.
and I have the passwords to all the big accounts. So careful. Wally says he's on both.
All right. Well, hello, Wally. Hello,
Hi,
Aaron.
Wally.
Hello, everyone else.
So this week we have decided that we are going to talk about what we really wanted to talk about was queer storytellers. And as a lot of you, some of you may know and may not know, Dan and I also have separate podcasts where we actually talk to writers and authors and me filmmakers sometimes as well about. Mine is specific to horror. Dan's is actually more about LGBTQ writers, storytellers, and allies. And Dan's podcast, by the way, was just voted #1 Pride podcast. Is that right?
It was, yes. Thank you. I was very pleased. And it was quite a surprise because it was chosen completely without me submitting anything. So I was blown away by that.
Well, that is fantastic. And what was it? A Speed Spot? Is that what it was on?
Yeah, you're going to call me out and ask me that right now, aren't you? So,
I am. You were Feed Spot's #1 Pride podcast.
Yes.
I got you.
That's right. Feed Spot's
got you.
#1 Pride podcast. Thank you. Jeepers creepers. You'd think I'd be prepared for that. We both.
All right, I got you.
And we both won a Telly Award. Congratulations for our individual podcasts, Quills and Chills and Out with Dan. Both of us won a Telly Award this year.
Which was fun. So yeah, I mean, let's just dive right in, shall we? I feel like,
Absolutely.
I mean, we could talk about specific ones, but I also wanted to kind of sort of maybe kick it off talking about one of the most important queer lit authors, at least I know out there, and that is none other than James Baldwin. I happen to think that all of his work was very important and very influential. Um, because it not only touched on queer lives, but it also touched on racial and sexual and class distinctions across Western society. And he's a very notable author, and a lot of his especially some of his work touches on homosexuality and bisexuality, and I think that he is just sort of groundbreaking and someone that I'm just so grateful that we have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. James Baldwin, I sort of think is sort of a contemporary of Truman Capote in the fact that I remember growing up and seeing both of them on talk shows. The greatest difference was, not to take anything away from Truman, was James Baldwin was really rather brilliant. And so when you had a conversation, or when a talk show host had a conversation with James Baldwin, there was no playing around. James Baldwin was ready and knew his stuff. And he was also a great humanitarian who said, hey, look, these things are lacking in this world. So let me write about them so we can bring them out. And I agree with you, such a groundbreaker.
So do you want to talk about some of the authors that you've had on your show that you want to highlight and specifically call out? I have a couple as well that I'll talk about.
I do. And I also want to talk about where we've been and where we are. When I first moved to Miami, and most everybody knows I was in Miami from when?
Wait. When was it, everybody? Let's see in the comments. Let's hear it.
Who remembers what years I lived in Miami?
I think we should get you a T-shirt that says that.
Yeah, I agree. So I think you should get me one, but thank you for the offer. So, but there was a gay bookstore. There were a lot of bookstores, but only one with gay literature.
Yeah, this is not that episode.
Right. So, right. But there was a gay lit bookstore called Lambda Passages. And I remember about the time Armistead Maupin was hitting his first big stride. He'd been big in the San Francisco newspapers, but when his books were becoming serialized, I remember reading those, and I remember I didn't know anything about San Francisco. I had not been there, but I just remember feeling community, and I loved that. I think when we see ourselves seen, it's so liberating because nobody really wants to be in the closet. It's not that fun.
I agree. So Aaron chimed in with 88 to 99, and I saw Wally over on Instagram did as well. So Congrats, you all do not win T-shirts, but you can take first place on both platforms.
That's right, and you know that you were right. So that's a good thing.
Exactly. You get to walk away with that. They're bragging rights tonight. One of the authors I want to really talk about up front is someone that I interviewed on Quills and Chills a couple weeks ago. Her name is Bijan Aga. She is actually a Persian American author and creator who has created this comic book series called Time Wars: The Adventures of Cobra Olympus. Nice. And she came on the show to talk to me about her fundraiser that is actually going on right now for the month of June, where she's written the first episode and is starting to work on the second episode. And so I just wanted to sort of highlight that and shout that out. Go check out Bijan's fundraiser on Kickstarter. And you can search for Time Wars, The Adventures of Cobra Olympus, Kobra, Olympus like the gods. So
I love it. And we'll put maybe the link to the fundraiser in the show notes.
Yep, sure.
Fantastic. And one author I would like to highlight is one that has been on an episode in the last week is TJ Alexander. TJ has been on my show. I think this was the third time. Their new book is called Triple Sec. And what TJ does is TJ is very specific that they write queer romance. And their books contain non-binary characters, trans characters, lesbian, gay, runs the entire alphabet. The greatest thing about TJ is very unapologetic for bringing queer love stories out. And I will say that their publicist is Atria, and Atria is a very big ally, and they stand behind TJ and promote as much as they can. And I like that. Atria is an imprint of a big house. I'm not going to guess which one, but it's one of the big five. But Atria is an imprint within that, and they're very supportive. And I like that. And I like the fact that in TJ's latest book, there's a throuple. And it's done so lovingly and kindly and I don't ever remember another book that has a throuple featured as main characters. And it was really well done.
I don't know that I know of one either now that you mention it. So another author that we both have talked to separately is Lee Mandello. Lee has a book that very recently came out a couple months ago called All the Woods Black.
Yep.
Sorry, it just left my brain.
What? No, right.
So all the Woods Black, and it is a period piece story about a trans character, and it's a love story and a monster story and a revenge story, and there's just like a lot of it's just really great. I enjoyed the absolute crap out of that fucking book, so I just love it. So.
And it's
real quick before I want to call out Wally. Wally wants to make sure everybody knows A, he's always right, and B, he wants a Queer Magnolia shirt. So we can make that happen. There's a merch link. I'll send it to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have both a red one and a black one. I wore the black one last week, so we would love that. I also I find that it seems to be, this is my perception, that queer love has a fairly nice foothold in the publishing world, which is a nice thing. But what I also love is the fact that there are several authors who do queer mysteries. And there's a fellow named John Copenhaver who has 3 books out, and they're historical books, or at least 2 of them are anyway. And he created a group called Queer Crime Writers, and you can find them across all of the social media apps. And it's nice to see that there's a group of queer crime writers as well, and not all of the bad people are gay. Some of the bad people are gay. Some of the bad people are not gay.
Oh, I love me a queer villain. Give me a queer villain any day, all day. I will take it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Precisely, because I want to see all the nuances of whatever character someone has created. And if a queer villain is a queer villain, I want to see all of it.
So here's a question I have for you. I was pleasantly surprised to see just how many queer-focused stories and characters there are these days in novels and books that at least I receive, and I'm sure you do. I mean, you specifically focus on that. My other show is focused on horror, and I really have been very pleasantly surprised at just how many queer-centric characters and that are represented in a very positive way. Obviously not without their flaws and as it should be, but I was just really, really impressed with that representation. And I feel like it's new, like in the past few years. I don't know if you'd agree with that.
I do agree with that. I think the visibility is much greater now than it was before. I think that publishers are realizing that there are readers of all types, and to shut out one type is wrong, because publishers are in business to make money. They're not in business to promote something. They're in business to make money. But I think that publishers have learned that there is a queer audience out there. Don't sell themselves short. And so I think we see a lot more of that now than we ever have before.
And I also, there's another one I want to highlight that I met at Saints and Sinners, and that would be Mr. Jerry L. Wheeler and his book Pangs. I think you actually pointed out the book to me, and I picked it up, and it's a vampire love story. Also has a very queer villain in it, and I was very much a big fan of it, and I really enjoyed the story a lot too. So,
and that's nice. Jerry is a nice fellow as well. He's a lot of fun, which is always a good thing. So,
we had a great conversation. I had a lot of fun with him on the show.
I like that. I have Jerry coming up next month where I'll talk to him about a different book. So
Mercedes General or something.
Mercedes General. That's right. So that'll be a lot of fun. One nice thing is, I think also a lot of authors in general are realizing that they get free publicity with us. And if they don't realize that, I might be the one that tells them that. So,
Yeah, you are very big on that.
Oh, I am. I'm like, we're all in this together, right?
But, well, I have my own graphic designer and creative director that helps me with a lot of my, you know who you are out there, that helps me with a lot of my social media posts and stuff like that. And I'm very grateful for it.
And I also think a nice thing is, Rick knows this, and some of the rest of the audience knows this. I go to a lot of book conferences, and I've met a lot of people. And I personally have been very impressed by saying, hey, look, here's my card. Would you ever consider coming on to my podcast? I've had some authors that say, well, I'm not gay or I'm not an LGBTQ plus person. My response is, as long as you're not an asshole, that's all right. But what I love is the fact that the number of people who has responded by saying, my daughter, my son, my sister, my brother, my cousin, my friend is LGBTQ plus, and I would be honored. And that is a nice thing from where I sit, because you find
out here, we're queer and we're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere. And we do have allies. And the allies step up to the plate and say, yes, I love that.
I think we got to talk about, God, there's so many people, right, though? But I think we got to talk about, there's Armistead Maupin. I want to talk about him. But first, I want to move over to movies for a minute, because storytelling encompasses not just books. There's also movies and TV shows and things like that. I think we'd be remiss not to talk about John Waters and what he has brought over the years. I mean, we even did a Q&P episode on John Waters a couple seasons back. But that is a man who has, for decades, just brought it out and put it up on screen and said, here we are, and we're not going anywhere. And he's a legend in my eyes.
He is, and he brought it out and said, here are all the warts, here are all the good things, here are the warts, all of them. I mean, Edith Massey even has warts, so those are the things that happen.
Oh, Edith Massey.
So. Right. And I also think that Ryan, mine's gone blank.
I know. I've been having the same day.
Have mercy. American Horror Story.
Ryan Murphy.
Yes. So Ryan Murphy has told some great queer stories as well, and has been very inclusive. And once again, may I say, whether it's Ryan Murphy or whether it's a publisher, they're in business to make money. But if they make money telling our stories, I'm good with that, because we're represented.
I agree. And Ryan's American Horror Story series alone has, I think just about every single season has had queer representation in one form or another. Some even being the entire focus of the season. I think it was the New York and NYC 84 storyline. I don't remember the name of the episode, but it's the serial killer storyline from 80s New York, which was pretty awesome.
Yep. Totally agree.
Also, our friend Jamie B.
Jamie.
Yes, we love Jamie. Jamie's
Absolutely.
awesome. So Jamie's book Untouched, she's been on your show.
Yes.
sorry, Jamie's been on your show. Jamie's also a part of another podcast that I do with Aaron Wallace called Old Cove, which you may have heard me talk about from time to time. So Jamie plays a character on that show as well.
That's right. Jamie's a good egg, and Jamie's book is delicious. And it's so
it's called Untouched. Go check it out.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, I think that we have so many wonderful ones. What I love is reading a book and you come across a character, and the character is a lesbian, and the character has to go home, says the character is a police officer and says, well, I have to go home because my wife expects me home by 6. And it just comes out of the blue, and that's not the main character. It's an ancillary character. And it isn't something that the author says, oh my gosh, you've got to look at this. Look at this queer character that I've included in my book. No, the author just goes through and it's a character in the book. Now, that's what blows me away. So that's why, when I do allies, I'm always looking for something that's just is simple representation without calling out, saying the author saying, oh, look at me. You should give me an award because I'm inclusive. The author just says, here's a character like every other character in the book, and they're fully formed. That's what I like to see.
All right. We have to talk about none other than Armistead Maupin. Tales from the goddamn
Tales of the City.
Thank you.
More Tales of the City. Sure of You. A whole bunch of them.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm going to have to probably edit that little swear word out. I went all Danny for a second there. So, but we have to talk about Armistead. I mean, wow. Right? Like you have a story with him, right? I feel like.
Well, I sort of do. So Armistead is from North Carolina, just as Rick and George and I are.
In case y'all didn't get that, over 8, 9, 10, what are we at? 8 seasons now? So.
Precisely. Before 88, I was from North Carolina. So Armistead grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, and was, family was political connected, so to speak. And he was actually worked for Jesse Helms, the Republican asshole senator we had for many, many years. And it's so funny because I've read some articles where Armistead talks about having worked for Jesse Helms, and he figures that Jesse Helms is probably rolling over in his grave now reading Armistead's books.
Woo, Lord.
But Armistead was and I'll say this sort of tongue in cheek, Armistead was a little boy who went to San Francisco to be queer, and he created something magical. And I give it wasn't the San Francisco Chronicle first, it was the other newspaper, maybe the San Francisco Examiner, that his serial ran in the newspaper.
Right.
It was a weekly serial that eventually turned into a book, and then eventually he moved over to the San Francisco Chronicle. But the little chapters in his books, the original books, they were actually newspaper articles. And I give the original newspaper a lot of credit for including something that was very different.
Well, that was San Francisco at the time, too.
Yes.
So
yep.
I know their audience.
That free love, baby. I'm looking for that free love. I don't want to pay for it anymore.
Oh, goodness. As you can see, we have moved on from tea this week. It's been a long week already. I can't believe it's only Wednesday.
It was a long week on Monday.
I barely made it here tonight. I was running, literally sent the link 1 minute before 7. I was like, I'm not going to make it.
Here we are, but we made it though.
Yes, we did.
And y'all pray for George that he doesn't commit Harry Carey at work.
Go ahead.
I one time said on Facebook, I don't know what Harry Carey is, and I got a whole bunch of people to tell me what it is. I guess Harry Carey was the announcer for maybe the Chicago White Sox or the Chicago Cubs, one or the other. He was a big announcer, so that's where Harry Carey comes from, I gather.
I don't know that I knew that either. So
And I know you like sports, so that was
you know,
right
I
down-
love sports. Hmm.
Y'all don't ever invite Rick to a sports game because he won't be paying attention.
I think I was tweeting all night long, and like the home run went flying over our head, or some baseball went flying
It
over our
was
head. And I
it was one of the best baseball plays I've ever seen, and Rick was tweeting all the way through it. Of course, but I've done that through hockey. It's like, where's the puck again? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh Lord!
Oh, I love hockey though. I
I do
love
too.
hockey. And I
Hockey's
think it's
fun.
the violence. I don't know. I'm just all into it. Like men slamming each other around. I'm just all in.
That
I'm
was
all in.
season 2 and 3 and 4 with you, honey. All the seasons.
No, we talked about that in season 1, the Carney episode. Or no, that was the wrestling in the parking lot.
The rubble trouble, hon.
I forgot about that rubble trouble. Oh Lord, we've been doing this for far too long. So,
We've had a good time.
indeed, we have.
So now let's ask the audience if they have any authors they'd like to
Shoot
comment.
us, shoot us some comments and questions. Who are your favorite offers? What's your favorite offer?
Well,
Or
50%
author,
off
yeah.
on an airline ticket.
Exactly. But in the meantime, is there anybody else that you're kind of loving across film and television? And I mean, we've talked about Ryan Murphy, we've talked about John Waters, we've talked about
I mean, honestly, someone asked me today if I could give them a couple of the interviews I've done that I was just blown away by. Hank Philippi, Ryan, Bruce Coffin, Meg Gardner, Reed Farrell Coleman. I mean, and these are authors who just simply put a character in a book and you read it and you know exactly who they are, where they stand. There's no, oh, I wish I really could understand what this character's empathy is. You understand it 100%. And there have been a lot of authors that I've interviewed like that, and I've been very fortunate. I've enjoyed myself.
Oh, you know what? You've just reminded me of somebody. Janet Mock is somebody that we need to talk about. She's an American writer and TV host and transgender activist. And she was also part of, the show that I couldn't believe, almost forgot, Pose. Pose was amazing. God,
Right?
I lived for every episode of that show.
The
It
writing
is
for that was
phenomenal
amazing.
work. Exactly. So Stephen, sorry, is it Stephen Cannells or Stephen J. Cannells? There's two.
Stephen J., I believe.
Stephen J. All right. And but the work is just phenomenal. And if anybody out there has not seen Pose yet, you should go find it. It is it is really amazing work. So,
and it talks about a time that, you know, most people don't really want to talk about. I mean, the AIDS epidemic affected all of us, whether you were born then or not. I mean, it has affected all of us one way or another. And then, of course, both Rick and I watched a documentary that our friend Andy sent that, you know, talked about, you know, the AIDS epidemic. And the documentary is a little old, but one of the characters that was being interviewed said, well, you know, gay liberation had just come around and we were experiencing it to the fullest. And that person said, and, you know, of course, when you do things to the fullest, there are repercussions. And I'm like, oh, I did not agree with that at all, because love is love. However we express it is our own business. But just after we had sort of really come out, along comes AIDS, and it decimated a generation.
yeah, it really did. But
Pose
Pose
shows
itself
all the
was really
beauty
more
and the
about.
stuff of it.
Go ahead. Sorry, say that again.
I'm sorry. Pose shows all the beauty of the houses and the dance crazes, and then it goes on to show the reality of life for the people who were living way on the fringe and the margins.
Right. It's a subculture, you know, in 1980s New York, which was a very big scene that I actually had friends in North Carolina who had come down from New York, moved down from New York, I should say, and brought aspects of that. So I got to see it during its heyday, and it was really just such a vibe. And it was just yes, exactly. Vote.
That's when
Vote
your wig
because
slipped over to the side, wasn't it, hon?
Oh no, that is a whole other conversation we will not get into right now. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We're done. We're done.
You already told about it, honey. You may as well tell it again.
Wally brought up another great show, which I have to say I'm very ashamed to say I've not yet seen, is Fellow Travelers. And that one is on my list of things to see, but it is a show that was out recently, and it is around I have to look it up. Keep me honest. I want to say it was focused in and around that time when being out wasn't always like it is now. And it's around this couple that, oh my God, some steamy, hot sex scenes I've seen on social media. So,
and Matt
some Fellow Travelers.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Ma'am.
I've not seen it either, but I just looked it up on IMDb and it looks very interesting. So, is it something I have to pay for, Wally, or can I get it on streaming?
You have to pay for it. That's why I haven't watched it yet, because I just do not need another streaming app. I have 19 streaming apps as it is right now.
Lord,
my streaming services cost more than cable used to cost me. It's ridiculous.
Your streaming runneth over, but if you don't have it, I know damn well I don't have it.
Well, this is true.
Because I'm notoriously cheap when it comes to streaming apps. I'm tired of it.
Well,
watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. That's not true.
I'm gonna hush up. I'm gonna hush up.
You should hush up right now, because you know it ain't true.
I'm gonna hush up.
If you saw my closet in the apartment, you'd know that's not true. I ain't cheap.
That's not what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay.
He says it's on Paramount Plus. Oh, the Showtime. See, I have Paramount Plus, but I don't have the Showtime option. So. More money.
Wally will just be sending those codes along right now, won't he, hon? I mean, you can't bring up something and don't give us a code, Wally.
Oh, and Renee says that this is his first time watching us live, and love it. So I'm glad after all these episodes you could finally join us, Renee. Yay, we'll take it. Hi.
Totally agree.
So Dan, I think we have an announcement that we want to make, and I don't know if George is going to return in time for this. So I think we should just do it. Should we just rip off the Band-Aid?
Rip it off.
All right. So this is episode 96 called Fierce Fiction. And the big announcement for everybody is that Queer Magnolias podcast final episode will be 3 more episodes from now, number 99. So
yes, it will.
We are hanging it up.
We're retiring.
Exactly.
Just maybe the only thing I'll ever be able to retire from in my life.
We just feel like that we have talked about everything that we wanted to talk about when we first started the show. We've had a great friggin' run. We've enjoyed it so much. But I am a big believer that you always want to leave them. You always want to leave with everybody wanting a little more. So I just want to go out before we get to the point where we're the Golden Girls in Golden Palace. I don't want to be that. So
nobody wants to see that dirty diaper drug down the street.
Again.
Well, they might have been that, hon. They might have been that.
So episode 99 is it. That is gonna,
unless we do a farewell tour for 5 more years.
I mean, it could happen. Cher did it, and Madonna's done it. Oh wait, sorry, Madonna's not a farewell. Well, I think it is though.
No, 70? She should be, because she can't get on. She can never be on time.
And she's fallen a couple times in this last little.
Oh really?
Yes, she has. So
my goodness, bless her.
But yeah, so
I'm sure nobody helped her up. Bless her.
I think Bob the drag queen helped her up. So I'm not kidding. He's been performing with her. So
oh wow, lovely, wonderful.
All right.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. So if you have not already, please check out Quills and Chills and Out with Dan podcast. We would love to have the listens, the follows, the comments, whatever you want to do.
Show
And
us
if
the
not,
love, baby. Show us the love.
show us the love. And don't make us come program your phone so it comes automatically, but we can do that as well.
And then while you're at it, also check out Old Cove and Tomorrow's a New Day. Those are podcasts that we have. Those are audio drama podcasts that all of us on Queer Magnolias have had a role in at one point or time, time or another. So go check those out as well. So
And Southern Queer Network. May as well plug everybody. And
there we go.
On the air. So we
Authors
are
on the air. It's right.
We sit on Authors on the Air, Global Radio Networks platform. And so there are a bunch of other podcasts besides just Rick and I and Queer Magnolias. So check them all out.
That is not possible.
We're
the only ones.
There are no more important ones than Rick and I and Queer Magnolias, but I do hear there are others on the network. So maybe if you're bored, go check them out.
Wally says, love you guys. Thanks for all the great shows. Oh, you're going to make me cry.
Oh, honey, at your age, you can't cry. It's crusty tears. Tears.
I can fake it.
Oh, okay.
I'm far enough from the camera. I can. So
I'll just laugh through it like you. Anyway.
All right, you guys.
Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you. And we'll see you guys next week. Have a wonderful week.
Bye.
Bye.